Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Prapta Sakalyana Gunanavasya Bande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Prapta Sakalyana Gunanavasya Bande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Mahaprabhu Kil Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu Gita Vaditra Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Romanchakam Taranga Bhajo Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringara Tanma Diramajanadu Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatopi Bande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatopi Bande Gora Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Truptan Hari Bhakta Sangam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Truptan Kridaiva Trupte Bhajato Shadeva Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Kridaiva Trupte Shiradikama Gabayara Para Madhura Lila Gunarupanamna Shiradikama Para Pratikshana Dhanalalupasya Bande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Pratikshana Bande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam Ne kunjayuno Ratikerisidhyai Jajali Verjokte Apekshaneya Ne kunjayuno Ratikerisidhyai Tatrati daksha atibalabhasya Vande Gora Shri Charanaravrindam सच्चाधरितेन समस्तशास्त्रे वृत्तास्ततव गतैव साधुभिः किन्तु प्रवर्ज प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुराशि चरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसाद भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादं नागति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादं नागति कुतोऽपि ध्यायां स्तुवां तस्य यस्य त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुराशि चरणरविन्दं ध्यायां स्तुवां यस्य त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुराशि चरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुराशि चरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुराशि चरणरविन्दं चरणरविन्दं वन्दे नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यरिषतापिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यरिषत जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Nanda Gadadhar Shivasari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hariyaraye Namah Krishna Jadavaye Namah Jadavaye Madhavaya Kesavaye Namah Gopal Govindaram Shimadhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghuna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Baladeva, Jayo Subhadrama, Jayo Sudarshan Chakra. Jayo Sitaram, Jayo Sitaram, Sitaram, Jayo Lakshman Hanuman. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Haribo. Jai Vishnu Paraparam Saprabhata Kachara Suttara Sarashishimat. His divine grace of Bhajravina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Pratishta Bhiviti Samstapakachar Vaishnav Ceremony. Parit Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gauri Guru Varga Vidudhar Ki Jai. Shri Rupanatha Namadrigunath Shiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Vrasat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Nama Chati Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai. Jai Ananta Kuti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Prem Si Kaho Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shadita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai. Jai Param Dayal Sanitananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Pramanama Sankirtane Kajanaka. Prema Purushottama Si Sachinanda Nishman Guranga Si Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gaur Hari Mahavana Avatar Ki Jai. Jai Golokira Pramadhan Harinam Sankirtan Jai Ki Jai. Juga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Prihat Banga Friends Night of Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopakapina Radha Kund Samakund Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabam Vrindavan Mathur Dham Ki Jai. The Lordship Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai. Shri Maya Purnavadup Eka Chakradham Ki Jai. Jai Parama Karuna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Ketra Jagannath Ridham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Prabhu Smasputra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakti Sarva Vigna Vinashna Kar Shingari Bhagavan Ki Jai. Ganga Ma Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Nindi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dharani Ki Jai. Shamavika Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai. Nitai Gauradi Pramanandi. All glories to the Assembly Bodies. All glories to the Assembly Bodies. All glories to the Assembly Bodies. All glories, all glories, glories. Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Namaste Narasi Gaya. Namaste Narasi Gaya. Pralada la da da haine. Pralada la da da haine. Hiranyakasipu Bhaksha. Hiranyakasipu Bhaksha. Silatanka Nakalaye. Jaya Silatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nisinga Parata Nisinga. Ito Nisinga Parata Nisinga. Jato Jato Jami Tato Nisinga. Bair Nisingha, Hrudaye Nisingha. Narasingha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakam Advaita Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kesavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Advaita Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kesavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Kesavadruta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re 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 Jaya Nisingha Re Jaya Nisingha Re Nisingha Re Jaya Nisingha Re Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Tai Gora Haribo 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 Tai Gora Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Jai Shri Bhakti Pata Sarvagni Vigna Vinashana Kali Shingare Bhagavan ki Jai Jai Bhakta Shrista Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Nitai Gaura Hari Premanande Haribo Nimaya tulasi devaya Priyaya kesava sadya Vishnu bhakti paridevi Satavataya Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पावो एया अभिलाषी
Radha Krishna Seva
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पावो एया अभिलाषी
Radha Krishna Seva
जे तो मारा शरण लो तारा वंचा पूरा न हो कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास नयने हरिबो सदा जुगल रूपरासी एई निवेदन धारो साखीर अनुगाता कोरो सेवा अधिकारा दिए कोरो निज दासी दीना कृष्णा दासे कोए ये ना मोरा होए श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदाए ना भासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की जय।
Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatayana Vrindai Tulasi Vaidya Saraswatya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatayana Vrindaya Tulasi Devai Priyaye Kesavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatayana Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes short of his wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence, pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. That's within my vision. I will always be wholly beautiful. Pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower with Dames of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me honored servant. He's very fallen and love his servant Krishna. May I always sing the love of Shri Radha, Govind, Shrimati Tulsima, Arani, Brinda Devi Ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Jastakam Ki Jai. Taranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Parivardhanam Patiparam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Paramjayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Durdhaivam idrisham yajanenamurada Vinadapi sunichinam Tarorapi saishnanam Amani namanadena Kirtaniya sadari Radhanam najanam nasundarim Kavitam vajagadishakamaye Mama janmani janmanishwari Bhavata bhakti raitu gita Vainanda tanudakim karam Vaitamam visame bhavam Kripaya tava pada pankaja Sitaduli sadrisham vichintayo Nayana Mangala Aarti Vadanam Gadgadharudaya Gira Pulakarin Chitam Vapukada Tavanama Grane Bhavisati Yugaitam Nimishena Chakyusha Prabhusaitam Shunya Itam Jagata Sarvam Govinda Virahiname Asli Shavapadaраtam Vinashtamam Adarshanaar Marmahatam Karotuva Jatatatthava Vidadatulam Poto Matpranatastu Saivanapara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikyastakam Ki
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru
Glory to the Shri Krishna
Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death.
This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large. For good is praised the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully test the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not hard and fast for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord, the humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw on the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I am fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your holy name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Siksastakam Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tanamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pachardi Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatani. Okay. Yeah. Did we say that did we say the 10 offenses? No.
The 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name, the Lord, that should be avoided. They are as follows: 1.
To blaspheme the devotees who are dedicated to lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord.
2.
To consider names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent names of Lord Vishnu.
3.
To disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
4.
To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and pursuance of the Vedic version.
5.
To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination.
6.
To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord.
7.
To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord.
8.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruit of activities or karma kanda.
9.
To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10.
To not have complete faith in the chanting of holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions in this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Vaishnava Thakur Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutani Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharni Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatani. Shri Guru Pranama Prayers Ki Jai. Om Aganya Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Swapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pachikamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nivitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Saraswati Tinamini. Shivarsavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Da Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Guruvani Shri Murtaye Namo Gorkishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Shri Jaganatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patittanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Trise Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surator Pangur Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarva Swapadambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadumadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simhasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastali Bihi Sevyamanam Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasaran Bivam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswaner Gopir Gopinatakstriye Stuna Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Pranama prayers Kijay Shri Brahma Samhita Kijay Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakanara Karanam Chintamani Prakata Satma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavriti Susrabhi Rabhivale Antam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Gwanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kamdar Koti Kamaniya Visesa Sobam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvana Malyavamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shaman Tribanga Lalita Niyata Prakasam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kaliyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purisham Navayovanam Cha Vede Sadurlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsada Sampragam Yo Vayoratapi Manaso Munipungamanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadastim Yavichintya Tatve Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chayatum Jagadanda Kotim Yas Chakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta Andanta Rasta Paramanu Chayanta Rastam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Samnabusa Suktaryam Eva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis Tabirya Eva Nijarupa Tayakalabi Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilakma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Purchurita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hidesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Amenatista Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvane Sukintu Krishna Swayam Samavavat Paramam Pamam Yo Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koti Swasesu Vasudadi Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Jaisabhutam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Trigunya Tad Vishaya Veda Vitayamanam Sattva Valambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasu Ya Praninam Patifalam Smaratam Upetya Lila Yatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nijadamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesu Haridama Sutesu Tesu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Yena Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shistista Te Pralayasada Vasakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichanurupam Abhyasya Chachesta Tesa Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetu Yasambutam Apitata Samapaitikar Yad Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dipachareva Hita Santanam Abhyapetya Dipayate Vivita Hetu Sadar Dharma Yastadri Eva Hicha Vishnu Bharyati Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagadanda Saroma Kupa Adhara Saktim Avalambya Param Smamurtim Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyaika Nisvasita Kala Matavalambya Shivanti Loma Villaja Jagadanda Nata Vishnur Mahansahi Yasya Kala Visheso Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Baswan Yatasma Sakalesha Najesa Teja Sriyam Kiyat Prakatayat Apitad Vadatra Brahma Ya Esa Jagadana Vidanu Karta Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Twande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Raja Vignan Vinhantum Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahiga Ganamabu Marudisasya Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Yamcha Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschakstudesa Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesa Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmota Papa Nichaya Srutayasta Pamsi Brahma Dikita Patagava Dayascha Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Matavendra Mahosva Karma Bandhanu Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirda Hatikintu Chabakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bitti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaura Vasevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadrisim Tanamapurete Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriyakanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumish Chintamani Ganam Mayitoyam Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivam Sipriyasaki Chidanantam Jyoti Param Apitad Aswadyam Apichai Sayatra Siradi Bihishravati Sirabi Vyasta Sumaha Nimesa Dakyava Rajati Nahiyatra Pitsamaya Bhaje Swita Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Santakshiti Viralachara Katipaya Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Shri Brahmasambhita Ki Jai Shri Guru Vastika prayers ki jai. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an auspicious qualities, chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments. The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind, sometimes his hair stands on end. He feels quivering in his body and tears flow from his eyes. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet as such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in temple worship of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet as such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always offering offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet as such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet as such spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavana. I offer my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet as such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servant to the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet as such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. Therefore, I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavana Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribol. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 43. Tata Kalagni Rudratma Yat Shristam Idam Atmanam Saniyachati Tatkale Gananikam Ivanila. Tata, therefore, at the end, Kala, destruction, Agni, fire, Rudra, Atma, in the form of Rudra, Yat, whatever, Shistam, created, Idam, all these, Atmana, of his own, Sam, completely, Niyachati, annihilates, Tatkale, at the end of the millennium, Gana Anikam, bunches of clouds, Eva, like that, like that of Anila, air, translation. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This creation is very appropriately compared to clouds. Clouds are created or situated in the sky, and when they are displaced, they remain in the same sky without manifestation. Similarly, the whole creation is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form of Brahma. It is maintained by him in the form of Vishnu, and it is destroyed by him in the form of Rudra or Shiva, all in due course. This creation, maintenance, and destruction are nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 19th and 20th verses as follows. Bhutagramam sa evayam bhutva praliyate ratri agame vasaparta prabhavad yahar agame parastasmat tubhavo nyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yasasarve sabhutesu nasatsu na vinasyati. The nature of the material world is that it is first created very nicely, then it develops very nicely, and stays for a great number of years, even beyond the calculation of the greatest mathematician. But after that, it is again destroyed during the night of Brahma, without any resistance. And at the end of the night of Brahma, it is again manifested as a creation to follow the same principles of maintenance and destruction. The foolish conditioned soul who has taken this temporary world as a permanent settlement has to learn intelligently why such creation and destruction take place. The fruitive actors in the material world are very enthusiastic in the creation of big enterprises, big houses, big empires, big industries, and so many big, big things out of the energy and ingredients supplied by the material agent of the Supreme Lord. With such resources, and at the cost of valuable energy, the conditioned soul creates, satisfies his whims, but unwillingly has to depart from all his creations and enter into another phase of life to create again and again. To give hope to such foolish conditioned souls who waste their energy in this temporary material world, the Lord gives information that there is another nature which is eternally existent without being occasionally created or destroyed, and that the conditioned soul can understand what he should do and how his valuable energy may be utilized. Instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the supreme will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord, so that he can be transferred to the other eternal nature, where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance for self-realization, not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all fruitive actors. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Haribol. So, this is a wonderful purport, but because it explains the purpose of a human being in a human body, or the purpose of a soul in a human body. The real purpose, not the phony, false, vicious purpose that is being taught in schools and media and so forth. The purpose of life is not sense gratification. The purpose of life is to become free of the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And there are many cycles in nature, and all of them point to this place is not where we belong. This world, this body, this family, this ethnicity, this race, this nationality, this human striving for sense gratification is not the goal of life. And we shouldn't even waste 1 minute with these things. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get married, you can't have children, things like that. It means that how you're going to do that. So in every situation in life, there's a correct way and an incorrect way. So doing things an incorrect way is a complete waste of time and energy. Doing things in the correct way is a sign of intelligence. And when you intelligently plan your life with an eye on the goal of life, then you are a real human being. And if you waste this opportunity of becoming liberated from the cycle of birth and death in the human body, and just live like an animal, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then your whole life is wasted. And all the energy you expend during this life is for nothing. Because at the end, everything that you have created or amassed will be destroyed. And all you'll be left with is mostly bad karma, which means that no guarantee you'll be a human being in the next life. So this message is being emphasized by Prabhupada over and over again in different ways. And if it doesn't sink into our minds, that means that there must be something that we really did bad in our past life or even in this life. And because of that, Yamaraj is not letting us get free. And it's that serious. So we should try our best to understand why there is creation, why there is maintenance, and why there is destruction of the material world. This is a law of nature. And these two verses in the 8th chapter explain it. The first verse explains this law of nature, that there's going to be creation, maintenance, and destruction. And the second verse, 8:19, I'm sorry, 8:20, explains that there is another world that is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, where there is no suffering, there's no illusions, and no misery, and everything is eternal. So that is what people want, intelligent people. So what is a sign of intelligence? Prabhupada says, if you want to know if there's intelligence, put your hand in your pocket, and if there's money there, that means you're intelligent. Right? You have money in the pocket, you have money in the bank, that means you have some intelligence. You are able to amass some wealth by working hard, hopefully not by cheating people and like Madoff and other people like that cheat others, but you worked honestly and you're able to make some money. So that's a sign of intelligence. Now, but those people who have made a lot of money, they realize that they will not live long enough to spend that money. So, therefore, they're investing a lot of money now, trying to figure out how to escape the possibility of death in this body. Well, that is not possible, because the body is material and it's subject to the laws of material nature, which is birth and growth and staying, and then giving off byproducts like children, and then dwindling and dying. You cannot escape that process. It is a law of nature. So trying to become eternal, or trying to make the body eternal in different ways, and there are different ways that they're trying. One is they're trying to freeze the body right at the moment of death, and hopefully unfreeze it when the scientists have figured out how to stop death. That, of course, is nonsense. If they unfreeze it, well, there were bodies that were unfrozen. Like the first company that started, this cryonics, and in California, went bankrupt. I've told you this before. And they didn't even have enough money to keep the electricity on. So all the people that were frozen, well, they were unfrozen, right? And were they alive? No, they were dead. What do you think? You think you're going to be alive after being frozen? You know, it's crazy. So, and that actually happened. In fact, look it up. Look it up on the internet. The first cryonic company in California went bankrupt. It's very interesting to have the internet, because you can look all these things up and verify that it's not nonsense. You know. Okay, so, and then another way is you make a robot that looks exactly like you, and they'll download your mind into that robot, and then anything goes wrong with the robot, well, you know, you go to Napa and you buy a part, you know, or one of these companies where sell parts, and you can keep replacing the parts that break down in the robot, and apparently you're going to be eternal like that. That's another nonsense. And then there's nanotechnology. Did you find something? The first cryonics.
So I think this may be the one. A man is suing a cryonics company for 1 million because I think his father. So let's see here. If you want to cheat death, you can purchase a cryonics package for the price of a car.
Read louder, I can't. Oh, you're not making sense. Read slower.
If you want to cheat death, you can purchase a cryonics package for the price of a car. Of course, there is no saying it will work. The technology to cryonically freeze people and bring them back to life doesn't exist yet, and there is no guarantee it will in the future. Needless to say, cryonics puts a lot of faith in science and belief that one day researchers will find a way to reverse the deep freezing process, thereby resurrecting your body and your consciousness.
So they don't even have the process, right? They're just hoping. People are just hoping, and they have the money. Okay, so then what else does it say?
So then it says it puts a lot of trust in the organizations involved. You don't want those responsible for guarding your frozen body to go bankrupt. For example, to dispose of your body to make room for a new customer, which leads to us to a man in Montana who is currently countersuing the Alcor Life Extension Foundation for 1 million and his father's head. So apparently they probably, it all started in 2015 when Lawrence Pilgeram, I guess, a biochemist and a long time advocate for cryonics, died from heart attack. Having signed up to be cryopreserved when he was 67, he was taken away to an Alcor facility. There is just one small hiccup. According to the Alcor website, having your entire body suspended in time requires almost instant freezing, but because that person has died at the weekend, his son says there was a delay in getting his body to the facility, so rather than give him the full body treatment, Alcor removed the person's head and sent the cremated remains of his body to his family. I think this is probably some.
Okay, so it's complete nonsense. They cut his head off.
Yeah.
And froze that and sent the body to the crematorium without informing the family. See, all nonsense things are happening. No, but there's a company that went bankrupt. And they turned the electricity off, and the people that were frozen were unfrozen, and they were all dead.
That's the Alcor.
What?
Alcor.
That-
ALCOR.
That company.
That company is called as Alcor, and then it's also another one called as Cryogenics Institute.
Did they both go bankrupt?
Yes.
Both of them went bankrupt.
And just Haribol. So just a short one. The Cryogenics Institute, founded in 1976, is one of the two major cryonics organizations in the United States that cryopreserves people upon their legal death. The classic critique of cryogenics is that the organization may face bankruptcy and be forced to thaw their patients. In fact, and then this is a quote, early attempts at cryogenics facility have previously failed when the organizations went bankrupt. Several facilities existed in the US starting in the 1960s, which often relied on the funding from the living relatives of the cryopreserved and could not maintain conditions when relatives were no longer willing to be able to pay.
Yeah, because it can cost up to $100,000 or more a year to maintain the person frozen in liquid nitrogen.
So as a result, all but one of the documented cryonic preservations prior to 1973 ended in failure and the thawing out and disposal of bodies.
Yeah, there you go. The whole thing is nonsense, but still people do it, even today. Because they're so desperate to make the body eternal, and it's not possible. It's against the law of nature established by Krishna. Now, why is there creation, maintenance, and destruction? Let's understand. It's explained here. It says, The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance for self-realization and not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all fruitive actors. So, the purpose of this creation and then maintenance and destruction is for people to understand, look, this life is temporary, but if we become Krishna conscious, we can attain eternality. It's not in this body, but our soul can go back to Godhead and have an eternal body. The soul itself has an eternal body, but it's covered right now by the matter, and everyone is fooled into thinking that the body made of matter is who they are, but it's not true. It's the soul that's emanating the body with consciousness that is the true person. So it says here that instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course of the supreme will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord so that he can be transferred to the other eternal nature, where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance for self-realization and not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all fruitive actors. So, the message in this purport is extremely important, and if we can understand it, then we will make a new plan for our life, not to die with our boots on, as they say in English. That means that you don't give up trying to have sense gratification in this body, and you change your whole orientation to trying to have self-realization, to understand who you actually are. You are not this body. You're the eternal servant of Krishna. And then Prabhupada gives a wonderful lecture in New York, December 16th, 1966, right in the beginning, right? And it's on the verse 926 and 927 in Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati tadham bhakti paratam astami prayatat manaha. He says, now the Lord says that anyone who offers me in devotion these four things, patram pushpam phalam toyam, this tulsi leaf, this flower, this water, and tulsi leaf, flower, water, and a little fruit. So, phalam is fruit and toyam is water. Okay, so he is pleased to take it and accept it. Why? Because we are offering him with devotion and love. That is the only way. Just like if you offer me varieties of foodstuffs and very palatable dishes, but I am not hungry, then all these palatable dishes and varieties of foodstuff is useless. I cannot accept anything. Similarly, if you offer anything to the Supreme Lord, he is full. He does not require your offering. He is always being served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Sevyamanam. Brahma Samhita 529. We are, in the material world, we are seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune, but in the spiritual world, hundreds and thousands of the goddesses of the goddess of fortunes. They are eagerly trying to serve the Supreme Lord. So he is full. He has nothing to accept from you, but he likes that you should offer him something. Just like a rich father, he does not like any help from the son, but if the son, after he has grown up, he is earning, and if he offers something to the father, the father becomes very happy. This is natural. So our connection with the Supreme Father is like that. He doesn't need anything. He does not require anything from us, but it is for my interest. If I offer something, then I become a very pet son of my Father. This is called bhakti. This is devotional service or Krishna consciousness. And why should we not offer? Then we would be ungrateful. Suppose the Father is supplying everything, and if I do not offer anything to my Father, is it very good? No. So here the ultimate, even the poorest of the poorest, he can offer these four things. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Tulsi leaf, patram pushpam, and a bit of leaf, a bit of flower, a bit of fruit, and a little water. Anybody can offer these things. Otherwise, if you've got means, you should prepare very nice food stuff for the Lord. At Vrindavana in India, there are temples still. They are spending thousands and thousands of rupees for palatable food stuff, offering to the deity. And those food stuff are distributed to devotees. Not only devotees, even non-devotees come and take, because by eating, one shall become a devotee. Nobody shall eat. If I ask somebody, please come and hear Bhagavad Gita, in other words, he's saying, nobody shall hear. If I ask somebody, please come and hear Bhagavad Gita, he may not agree. But if I offer some palatable or tasty dishes, food stuff, Krishna prasada, everyone will accept. Everyone will accept. So that is one of the processes of devotional service that we should offer very sumptuously to the Lord. And the prasada should be distributed. The Lord is not taking away to his abode, to his kingdom. It is for you. But if you eat and if you distribute that sort of prasadam to the public, you are doing great service, and the public is getting spiritual consciousness, God consciousness. Just establish, just propagate this everywhere. In the hospital, in the charitable societies, in industrial places, everywhere distribute this prasadam and chant this Hare Krishna. Just see what is the result. Well, that's what we're doing, right? We're distributing prasadam every day in the temple. We're distributing prasadam in the food truck. We're chanting Hare Krishna along with the distribution. Like now on Sunday pizza, I make sure everybody chants Hare Krishna before they get the pizza. I say, chant now Hare Krishna, Krishna. You'll get the pizza faster if you chant. So, yeah, and here's the verification or the validity, the validating principle that Prabhupada says. He says, but if you eat and if you distribute that sort of prasadam to the public, you are doing great service. And the public is getting spiritual consciousness, God consciousness. Just establish, just propagate this everywhere. In the hospital, in the charitable societies, in industrial places, everywhere distribute this prasadam and chant this Hare Krishna. Just see what is the result. Wow. You want peace? These are the processes of peace. But we do not take care of this. What is peace? How can you have peace? Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 29th verse. Just we have discussed previously, we should simply acknowledge there is a process of worship of the Ganges. You have perhaps heard the name of the Ganges River. The Ganges River is the sacred river, Ganges and the Yamuna, the most two sacred rivers in India. Millions of people take bath early in the morning in the two rivers, all parts of the country. It is a very wide and very long river from Himalaya to the Bay of Bengal. So it is a very long river, and all the tracts of land there are considered to be sacred place, and in each and every part, thousands and thousands of people, they are taking their bath early in the morning, either in the winter season or in the summer season. It doesn't matter. So there is a process of worshiping the river Ganges. And what is that? After you take your bath, you stand up to your waist, filled up with water, and take little water from the Ganges water, and you offer, Mother Ganges, I am offering this with respect. This is the process. Now, suppose you take a handful of water from the Ganges. What is the loss of the Ganges water? And if you offer some handful of water in the Ganges, where is the gain? So this is patram pushpam phalam toyam. A bit of flower, a bit of fruit, and a bit of leaf, and a bit of water. If you offer to the Supreme, do you mean to say he gains something? Or if you take it out of nature's, you are taking so many things? Is he in loss? So he has no gain, no loss. It is for your interest. When God accepts, he says, yes, I, asnami, I eat. One Arya Samajist, you see, in the Hindu society, since a very long time, especially since the days of India's destruction of the original culture, so many offshoots, they have come out under the name of so many isms, meaning so many false movements or religions have developed in India. So there is one section or one religion who is called Arya Samajists. Their business is only to criticize all the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures. That is their business. So one of the members of the other Arya Samajis, they do not favor the temple worship. Yeah, they refuse deity worship. So he asked me, Swamiji, do you think God eats? I said, yes. Then how do you think that God eats? Well, because God says, I eat. Here is Krishna. He says, asnami. Asnami means I eat, right? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakti prayachati. Tadham bhakti pavrita. And then he says asnami in the last line, right? Yeah. So God says, I eat. Who are you that says he does not eat? I replied to him like that. Who are you? You say that God does not eat, but here God says, I eat. So who shall I believe? A loafer like you, in other words, a worthless person like you, or Krishna? And people laugh. I am a third person, and you are also a third person, and Krishna is recognized as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who shall I believe? Shall I accept that I am a fool, number one? I accept that I am the fool, number one. But who shall I accept? You or Krishna? You said that that God does not eat. But who are you? What is your position? You are an ordinary man. So you say that God does not eat, but God says, I do eat. Why shall I not believe him? Why should I believe you? Prabhupada, it's really amazing. So this is the question of faith. This is the question of faith. And without faith, you cannot reach the kingdom of God. Your experimental knowledge, your so-called defective reasons and arguments and philosophy, that will not be applicable in the transcendental field. You have to believe. You are believing in every sphere of your life. When you purchase a ticket for transferring yourself in the aeroplane, if you go on arguing, sir, I am purchasing ticket, whether this aeroplane will reach the destination or will not reach the destination. I mean to say, will it crash on the way? If you go on arguing like this, there's no question of, I mean to say, getting on the airplane. You have to believe that the airplane will take me to the destination. You are doing that, there is no argument. So you see, anything you do in life, you have to have faith that it's going to succeed. Like when you leave your house and drive your car to work, you have faith that the car is going to reach there safely. You're not going to have an accident and die, or somebody's not going to crash into you, right? If you thought you're going to die that day, you wouldn't go to work. If you thought there's going to be a big accident, you're going to die. Just like one of our devotees' father got on his bicycle and went not very far away from his home to get something. And on the way, one of those three-wheeled, Indian motor bikes, carrying a lot of weight and people, ran into him from the back, and he knocked him down, and he got really hurt. I think he ran over his leg also, and he was injured. And 1 or 2 days later, he died. Now, when he left the house, he didn't know he was going to die. He didn't know he was going to get hit from the back by a three-wheeler. Some of those three-wheelers are big, right? They carry a lot of weight. And I told the story, too. I went to do a Shrad ceremony in this Punjabi family in Kent. And when I knocked on the door, I noticed that right next to their entrance, there was a little patch of earth that had been, someone had dug it up and was getting ready to plant. And I looking at it, I could understand, because I know what it's like to break up the sod that's on top of the grass and all that, and soften up the ground so that you can plant, right? So I found out during the ceremony that the father, the day before he died, he did that. And then he came home, and then he went into the house, he was tired, he went to sleep right away, and in his sleep he died. He had a heart attack. Now, did he know that he thought that, okay, I did this work, and then tomorrow I'm going to plant it, right? But he died. He had a heart attack. He overexerted himself. It's not easy for an older person to dig up like that and then overexert himself, and he had a heart attack while he was sleeping. He didn't even wake up. So we have faith that, okay, if I buy this ticket, the airplane will land safely. If you had a doubt about the airplane landing safely, you would not buy the ticket, even if they gave it to you for free, right? And also, this man thought by digging up the ground the next day or a couple days later, he would plant it, right? But he had a heart attack and died. So there's nothing sure in the material world. Padam padam yad vipadam nate sam. Any moment there can be a tragedy and we can die. That's how precarious, that's a very nice word, precarious, Precarious, look that up. How precarious life is. Okay, so Prabhupada's saying, so it's a question of faith. A question of faith. And without faith, you cannot reach the kingdom of God. And he gives the example of buying an airline ticket. What does it say, precarious?
It's uncertain and likely to collapse any moment.
There you go. So Prabhupada gives the example of a drop of rain that falls on a lotus leaf. So he said, at any moment that drop of rain can fall off the leaf, because the leaf has that special coating on it that makes it very slippery. Right? He said that's the way life is. It's like that drop of rain on the lotus leaf. Any minute it can fall. And any minute we can die. So he says, you have to believe. We must have faith. And we see that many faithful great acharyas and devotees of the Lord, they achieve success by this faith. Why shall I not follow them? In other words, you say, should I follow the Arya Samajist, or I call them Arya Hodgepodgist, right? They make a big hodgepodge of religion or Vedic Dharma. So who should we believe? Should we believe this foolish person who's saying, oh, God cannot eat? Actually, this happened on Sankirtan also. 3 years ago, we were on Sankirtan, and this one young girl, devotee, was distributing, and she met this Muslim guy, and she tried to sell him a book, and he looked at it. I guess he read some little bit, and he said, oh, you say that your God is eating, but God cannot eat. That's what he told her, and she got bewildered. So later on she asked me, she said, this man said that, and I was not sure how to answer him. So I told her, I said, wait a minute, Krishna says, Patam Pushpam Phalam Tuyam, Yome Bhakta Prayasti, Tadham Bhakti Paratam, Asnami, Prayatat Manaha, Asnami, he said, I eat. So Krishna is saying, I eat. And he's saying God cannot eat. So who are you going to believe? You're going to believe him or you're going to believe Krishna? You see? So because the Muslims, they don't think God has a body. Or, the less intelligent Muslims, they don't think. And therefore, they say that God cannot eat. But actually, he does eat. And if you don't offer him anything, then you don't get this special mercy. But if you offer him nice eatables, as Prabhupada is saying, then he will bless you and become a devotee. So this was, let me see where that is. D-E. I might not be able to find it in my book. Anyway, it happened almost 3 years ago now. Okay, so, and here Prabhupada's met the, that's why I say there's hardly any difference between the Muslims and the Hindus, because what does Prabhupada say here? He says that, you see, in the Hindu society, since a very long time, especially since the days of India's destruction of the original culture. So he's not talking about the 1960s, he's talking about in the 19th century. Due to British education, when the Brits took over the educational system, they destroyed, or they tried to destroy the Vedic culture, and several generations of Hindus believed them. And it's still going on. So he says, since the days of India's destruction of the original culture, so many offshoots, what do you mean? What does he mean? Many new religions amongst the Hindus, or new Bhagavans started to appear, right? And they have come out under the name of so many isms. So there is one such ism called the Arya Samajists. Their business is only to criticize all the Vedic scriptures. That is their business. So one of the members of the Arya Samajis, they do not favor the temple worship. So he asked me, Swamiji, do you think God eats? I said, yes. Then how do you think he eats? Because God says, I eat. Here Krishna says, Asnami. So God says, I eat. Who are you that to think that he does not eat? He said, I replied like that. I replied like that. Who are you? You say that God does not eat, and here God says, I eat. So who shall I believe? Right. And this happened to us on Sankirtan. A young girl tried to give a book to the Muslim, and he said, oh, your God doesn't eat. That means he is not God. That means that you're worshiping a false God. Actually, it turns out that he's worshiping a false concept of God. Right? Okay, so this is very interesting. This whole lecture is a very, very powerful lecture. And I don't want to go into all of it now. Actually, I have to stop the class now because I have to go to Tacoma, right? No, I know, but I have to take a little bit of rest first. So are there any questions?
Prabhupada's faith is, and his logic
Yes.
is phenomenal.
Who are you going to believe? Here on one side, God's saying, I eat, and you're saying God doesn't eat. And who are you? What is your authority to say that? When God specifically says, Asnami, I eat. So then the next verse, we have to go on the next verse also. So verse 26 Patram Pushpam Phala. Like verse 27, 927 is also very important because he says, Yat kurosi yat asnasi, yat jehosi dadasi, yat tapasya sikonteya, tat kurusva malarpanam. Prabhupada says something in this lecture that struck me as very interesting, because he says, he explains that verse. Yeah, okay. So he says, I'm going to go over this in depth tomorrow, but I just want to get one more point here. He says, so the Lord says, Yat karosi. That means whatever you do, right? So he says, we have to work. It is not that without working we can have our body and soul maintained. This is not possible. In this material world, we have to work. Everyone is working. Yat karosi and yad asnasi, we also have to eat, right? Asnasi means you eat. That's a fact. And yat jehosi. Now here's where I was shocked, because I never heard this before. So yat jehosi means whatever you offer, right? And then yat jehosi, yat asnas, yat jehosi, yat tapasyasi. That's the last one. Okay, but here, jehosi, he says, whatever you offer. So he says, and yad jehosi. And for our salvation or advancement, we do something. Religious rituals or attending church and temple or mosque. Something there is in human society. And dadasi, charity. And then tapasyasi is austerity. So I didn't understand all these years what he meant, what's meant by jehosi. Jehosi means you're offering. You're offering puja, or you're offering rituals to the Lord. You're going to church. You're going to the mosque. You're offering prayers. So jehosi means it's just not offering, but you're offering something to the Lord, right? And then after that, jehosi, yes, the dasi, you are giving charity. So I thought jehosi, I was always confused. What does he mean by offering and then charity? But actually, he's saying you're offering worship to the Lord, right?
I think in the following sentence, focus on your work, your charity, your eating, your penance, and your rituals. Is that rituals,
Yes. Where do you see? Oh yeah, religious rituals. Yes. Yeah, I didn't know that. Right? You see how important it is to look at, because if you just read, it says, the verse says, whatever you do, okay, whatever you eat, okay, whatever you offer or give away. So, offer or give away is charity. Offer, what does that mean? See, here he explained it. It's performing ritualistic activities to please the Lord. Right. Now, does he say that in the purport? Any civilized man has to perform some religious, ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. See, now, I didn't pick up on that all these years, although it's there in the purport. Did you understand? Did you?
rituals.
Yes. That jehosi is referring to what you offer to the Lord in form of worship. Okay, we'll stop right there. Any other questions? You see, every day we learn something new. You have to read the purport more carefully. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Haribol.
On that Alcor, that company,
Yeah,
there is one fact, as of April 30th,
yeah.
2021, Alcor had
You mean frozen people? Okay.
Including 182 who have died and whose corpses have been subject to cryonic processes. And Alcor also applies its chronic process to the bodies of pets.
Yeah, they can freeze your dog.
Yeah. As of
Good.
2009, there are 33 animals. 2009.
Yeah, people love the animals, so they want to bring it back alive in the future, but they'll be dead themselves. You see how crazy people are? Just because they have money, they'll waste it like that. Okay, I'm gonna take a little rest because I have to leave at 9 o'clock. You can chant, okay? Hari, oh, where is Srila Prabhupada?